No chain, no grapple. This little machine is lifting a whole log on a set of forks, and today it's cleaning out Henry's Nanny and Pawpa's creek. This creek is a mess. Years of fallen trees and brush all tangled up, and a tractor can't get down in here. But the SwingSteer can, and so can Henry. So watch what this thing does that a skid steer can't.
I tell you, overall, I was pretty impressed down there in that sort of terrain. You know, I've watched the videos on YouTube of them picking stuff up and running around in the grass with some mulch in the bucket, but I hadn't seen terrain where dozers, you know, stuff ought to be. That kind of equipment should be. That doesn't seem like it were big skid steers. That doesn't seem like it would belong there being a small machine. It, you know, it doesn't fit that category. Look, but it does. It really does, because you're able to go down there and you can turn sharp. Now you can't turn as sharp as a skid steer can. I mean, you can't spin on a dime, but you can go around the edge of it. You know, but it doesn't tear it up as bad. You know, it leaves it fine. It doesn't rip wads of sod up, you know, it just rolls around. But you can get the pieces, you can scooch them around and roll them back, and then you can creep back out. You know, and it's all at the touch of a pedal, and you got precision control. I mean, you can just barely creep or whatever, but it's nice.
Well,
you can see everything really nice.
That job is the type of job that a landscaper would encounter. So that little wooded area down there by that little creek is, they keep that weed eated and nice, but that big tree blew down in a storm. So
it was actually last year in that big tornado.
Yeah, the bad storms that we had last year. But you know, you were able to go down with the loader, and you know, you had it cut in about 6 foot pieces, but still a 6 foot long piece of hardwood that's probably 18 inches to 20 inches diameter. You know, that's not a slouch of a piece of wood. And carrying it back up out, and doing so without completely destroying the ground. And I mean, some damage is inevitable when you have a storm damage like that, but
it doesn't tear the sod up. I mean, it rolls across and it leaves little divots, but we put those agriculture tires on so we have more tread and stuff in the winter. And if we have another pair of rims, we would have our turf tires back on it now. And you wouldn't tell anything was there.
yeah.
It would look like a lawnmower that drove back and forth across it, because it just rolls.
So all in all, I think the biggest concern that I had was the articulation when you put a big load on it and then you steer it. You know, that back axle shifts out from under the machine, but as long as you are aware of of where you're making your turns and how, like, when you're loaded when you're turning, or whether you're unloaded when you're turning.
Well, I mean, I noticed even at full turn, you know, it'd be different if I had, like, say a 12-foot ball on there, you know, where it's really sticking way out. But them little 6-foot ones, you know, yes, it's heavy, but it pretty much sits right in front and doesn't have much leverage on the machine.
Yeah.
Still be mindful, that's for sure, but you know, it rolled right across. The only thing that I didn't really like a lot, like if you have a tractor down there, that front axle where it's got that, you know, big kingpin, it's like, you know, big pivot pin where it'll let the tractor shake like this. You can fork under better, but it ain't too bad.
I noticed a couple times when you were coming down in, so that thing it articulates, but it doesn't oscillate. So the front and rear axle are rigid in the same plane. So when you go over a hump you can get one tire up off the ground, but that didn't seem to hurt anything.
Because it's four-wheel drive, it goes on.
Yeah, and it has the hydraulic lock too, but I don't think you had to really use that.
I didn't use it once.
It was, all in all, I couldn't be more impressed with the machine going down in there and doing that type of work. Because that's exactly the type of work that a landscaper or a farmer or tree service. I mean, that's exactly the kind of thing that you're going to have to do.
The only thing that could make that machine better, AC, but also a grapple. Had a grapple where you could grab the log kind of and roll it back. You wouldn't where you're trying to fork it. That's where that oscillation comes in.
Well, but now you got to remember, there's a trade-off with grapples. Everybody loves grapples. They're a hot implement right now, and they, for good reason. They're useful pieces, but the grapple is going to weigh about 25 to 50% more than that set of forks does. So, any weight that your grapple adds, that takes away from the actual lifting and carrying capacity. So now it wasn't having any trouble lifting those logs, but if you could run into a situation where
you get closer to the limit that it can have at turning,
and it's going to magnify all of the issues. So I'm not knocking a grapple, and we might try Daniel's grapple. He has a grapple that would work on it. We might try it sometime, but you can't complain about the work that you got done down there with the forks. You didn't have any trouble really.
I've sat in here and practically got this job done. The biggest part of the job in 2.5 hours. I went down there, I cut it took the longest really. I moved all the equipment over there, and then I started loading, and I've got my first load going up in the dump, and then I'll probably get probably two more. But the last one will probably just be clean up brush stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll be done in 4 hours.
You've got your bucket there too, so there's some blocks of wood that were already cut from before down in there. And you can go down in there with the bucket and bring all that out and save having to carry it all out by hand. And the little brush cleanup. That old big locust log up at the top, you need to go ahead and cut it through in a spot or two and go ahead and load it up too. But all in all, I was impressed with what it was doing. So
So if you're wondering what this machine is, it's the Mac SwingSteer model SW380. Bad Boy Mowers bought Mac last year. So this same machine is what they now sell as the Bad Boy Terrain. If you've been eyeing that new Terrain, this is it doing real work. Here's what makes it different from a skid steer. It's articulated. It bends right in the middle, so it turns tight and doesn't tear up the ground. Look where Henry's working, down in these trees. A skid steer couldn't get in here without making a mess of it. This is the biggest, heaviest log of the whole day. The new Bad Boy Terrain's rated to lift around 1,700 pounds and about 2,600 pounds down at the ground level. And I can tell you that ours can do about that also. And Henry's doing it on a set of forks, no chains and no tractor. And yeah, that's Ben talking Henry through how to run this machine and get this log of this size out of here. That takes patience and somebody who's done it before, standing here helping his son. This is how you actually learn to farm. People always want to know what one of these cost. This machine here cost us around $30,000. The Terrain runs in the mid $40,000s, and it comes down to whether an articulated loader fits your place better than a skid steer or a tractor. And for a farm like ours, tight spots, real weight, and ground, we don't want it torn up. So it has really earned its keep here. Tell you something. folks. I always figure a machine like this is a man's toy, but I'll tell you as a woman, I love it just as much as they do. When it's not out here hauling logs, it's helping me in the flower beds, moving mulch around, and lifting something heavier than my back cares to. It earns its keep way past the cattle work. This thing stays right here with us. Ours is the older Mac SwingSteer, been a good one to us. Bad Boy owns them now and calls the new one the Terrain. We'd sure love to get our hands on one someday and see how it stacks up against ours, just to see if there is a difference.
Stay out of their yard. Hey, let them.
While Henry finishes cleaning up the little stuff, I want you to know we're here and we're listening. We've read your comments and it makes us happy to know people are watching, reaching out and seeing what we're doing here. 4 of you have even shared your own new swing steers with us, and we're glad you're here to see what this machine can do. And to those of you still on the fence, wondering if this is the right machine for you or your operation, we hear you too. Tell us in the comments what you'd like to see us try with the SwingSteer, and we'll put it to work so you can decide for yourself. If this has helped you, go ahead and click that subscribe button. It really does help our family out. And we'll see you around.